Good evening, folks, and welcome to Ridgecrest Talk. I am Al Huey, along with my partner,
Robert Eierman.
Eierman. And our special guest tonight is Mr. Gary Parsons, the
Good
economic development guru for the city.
An expansion of
Or
term.
ninja, I should say, huh?
Yeah.
That's a good phrase that's being used a lot today. So, tell us a little bit about economic development, what's going on. One of the questions I got, the old Staples building, is there any movement on that?
Yes, the Staples building, we've been working with the owner, who is frankly from the Reno area and had a opinion of values of property somewhat higher than that exist here. For example, like we're in downtown San Francisco instead of here. So her property value that she asked for the property was very, very expensive, well beyond the market needs here. So it prevented the reuse of the building because of the price of the building. We had a developer, we've been talking to a developer who's looking and has made an offer on the building to develop the building and split the building, much like Mervyn's, into two stores, and we're still working on that project. So that's in works as we talk.
Okay, that's good news. Speaking of the owner of the Staples building, they must be have a few coins because they leave the lights on in that building
Yes, they do.
24/7.
This family does not need the income from the building, let's put it that
okay.
way.
Okay.
Because they own, as I understand it, they own 12 of these, just to start with.
Oh,
Just to
okay.
start with. So, history is that that owner, just to give you an example how this happened, that owner is the daughter of whose mother essentially was the creator of the wealth, and the daughter inherited it. And the daughter has no idea how to manage buildings, nor had any experience in managing buildings. So she's learning the hard way.
Okay.
Leaving the lights on is an example of that.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. How about the business park? Anything
Well, the
developing
business,
there?
yeah, the business park, we're finally breaking through the state. As you know, the business park is part of the RDA. This is complicated, but the RDA was the state closed RDAs down, essentially, and we created what we call a successor agency, which is essentially the council in this case. But the successor agency being independent manages the properties. In order to sell the properties or that the agency owned, we had to get what was called a property management plan approved by the state of California, Department of Finance. The Department of Finance has been involved in this from the beginning. The Department of Finance, we just got word from them that they would approve our property management plan, which allows us to sell properties then. If we got a resolution from the city, from the successor agency and the oversight board, which is another entity created under this process, that formally transferred the Upjohn Park to the city for public use. Right now, the original position of the state was that is a RDA property and should be liquidated. We indicated that it was a public property and that it was part of the city process. It was city park system, and it was developed as a park. We had to prove to them that it was a park, even though it says Upjohn Park. And
Yeah, right.
so that was the kind of process we've been going through. Very frustrating part on my part, but they have agreed to approve our PMP, which will now allow us to market the park.
So
And
we
you're
could
going to
see
see some
something-
properties. We've got some sales of properties lined up for development, but we couldn't
Do anything?
do anything, and we didn't know when we would be able to do anything because the state would.
Any idea when you're going to have the blessing to move forward?
Yes, so I'm supposed to forward those resolutions today, and I was told by the state, and I say that with a smile on my face, that they would approve the PMP within the week. So that would allow us to move
Terrific.
forward
Yeah.
in the next month. Let's just say in the next month, because I'm getting uncomfortable with my dates, the next month to get
You
that
should
done.
be.
Yes. When we're dealing with the state, it's timelines are different altogether.
Did the recent unfortunate discovery about the budget have any impact on your department?
No, not really. My department is not actually funded through the general fund. My department has been funded through what is called ROPS, or essentially the old RDA system. My salary and other things come out of ROPS, so it doesn't come out of the general fund. The budget for the operations of the department and what we've been using for economic development has been TAB funds, when we have our allocation of TAB funds, which was allocated, which is originally RDA refinancing of bonds. That's how that money came about. So it's old RDA money is what it really is. There's no new tax or anything else. It's just RDA. When we took old RDA funds and you refinance them in today's market, there's an interest benefit. So basically, you reduce an interest cost, and you can take the cash out. That's where that money, TAB money, came from, is that process.
Okay.
So it's just refinancing with debt.
On a different subject, I was just wondering, and you may have not had your ear bent over it, but the recent China Lake Boulevard work that was done by the state.
Yes.
Did any of the businesses kind of
Yeah,
complain a little
we
bit?
were happy to connect them to the state on that issue. For once, we had somebody to say, here, you take care of the problem. No, our council, I will tell you, several of our council members were actively pushing the state to get things accomplished, but.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is the way they put the dividers down
Yes,
the middle.
yes, the
It
medians.
used to be easy to get to some businesses. Now you have to.
Yeah, we didn't have any, the city had no say on where those medians were placed and where the left turn lanes and so on were. We had nothing to do with where they placed it, unfortunately. And frankly, I think, on a personal note, not engineering hasn't said anything in my city, doesn't represent the city. I find that I have to make more U-turns, unfortunately, which I
Yeah.
think,
Yes,
is
absolutely.
it's less safe than the left turns. But
That's just what I was going to say. I was going to turn on to Drummond, and unfortunately, somebody decided that they wouldn't make that known. So what they did is just immediately, after the light had turned and every traffic was moving, they immediately jammed on the brakes and started a very slow U-turn. And I was not right behind him, but the person right behind him darn near clobbered him. And it made me think, I'll bet you there's going to be a lot of rear ends.
I think now the benefit to that,
We got to take a break.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so when we come back, we'll talk about left turns on Drummond and China Lake. Join us right after the break. A word from our sponsors.
And welcome back to segment 2 of Ridgecrest Talk this evening. I'm Robert Eierman, along with Al Huey, and our special guest tonight is the head of economic development here in Ridgecrest, Mr. Gary Parsons. And we were talking about the increased number of U-turns necessary for travelers on China Lake Boulevard in order to get to their favorite business, which is, of course, on the left side of the street, whichever direction they're traveling.
Always on the left side of the street.
It's always on the left
It
side,
doesn't
that's
matter.
right.
Even though it's a two-way street, it's always on the left side when you want to get in.
That's right.
But
They made accommodations for the hospital, which
Yeah.
is appropriate. I saw that.
yeah.
But,
But
man,
at a
they really
45
hurt
degree
some
angle,
other
did
businesses.
you see the angle on that entry
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
driveway?
yeah.
It's quite an angle. The only benefit I can say about the medians that the state put in that we appreciate a lot was their ability to allow us to put artwork in the middle of the medians. That was and the effort that our planning department is
Really?
doing. Well, our planning department is making a bigger effort to try to provide art in the center of medians to beautify the city, and the state agreed to allow us to do that. That took some conversation, by the way, but they have, so we're going forward with that. So
One
that's a
thing I'll
positive.
say about what the state did as opposed to what the city has done in the past, and I'm sorry I'm going to be the agitator here, at least there isn't any greenery that requires water and maintenance in their medians, as opposed to some of the city medians in the past. But still, I'm not happy with it. But it's just
Nothing.
like what the state did on, and Robert and I talked about this previously, 395 between Kramer Junction and Adelanto. there used to be passing lanes, an opportunity for you to get around some of these slow-moving semis. For example, the hill coming right out of Kramer Junction heading south used to have a passing lane, so you could get around those trucks going up the hill. They took that away.
And
It's gone.
they put double lanes in, so that's going to save people from making.
Where did-
I mean, they have the double yellow line now. So
Oh,
that's
yeah,
double
yeah,
from
right.
passing people. Yeah.
So their frustration is assuaged by them looking and seeing the double. Okay, I didn't know that.
And so basically,
I've noticed a lot of people.
so I
ignore
would be
that.
I would be happy to give you the name of the contacts at Caltrans in the state to talk to, and you can follow my comments on that as well.
Yeah.
But that's just what the state does. So we do our best.
I'd say they're asinine, but we don't want to use that word on this show.
Of course not.
All right. A few weeks back, I think it was now, I was at a city council meeting, and you were on the agenda, or were you on the agenda that night?
I don't know.
But anyway, you came up to the desk there in front of the council members and hit a button and cued
Music.
video, fireworks.
Little bit show me there, yeah. A little
Yeah.
bit showmanship there. Yeah, it's been, like I said, that project, you're talking about the Walmart project that announced the groundbreaking for that.
I still think it's a mirage.
Yeah, well, as you see the equipment and other signs and
a
everything else.
mirage.
Yeah,
It's a mirage.
it's absolutely. That project was started in something like 2001.
Really?
So it's a 13, 14-year-old project, so.
I thought it started around 2003.
No,
That was before that.
It was before that, when we had our first conversations. It became
Okay.
public in 2003 that we were having any conversations.
Oh, okay.
But that happened before then. So this is like I commented to, there's one individual at Walmart team that's been on the project since it began, and myself for the city. So we thought maybe we'd get a lifetime achievement plaque when we do the grand opening and put
Yes.
it in the corner there for someplace. But
Absolutely.
it's been a real effort of that, and I have to tell you, I couldn't have done it. We've had multiple council people over the years that have been very supportive. So the council's always been very supportive if we could have done it, and it's amazing.
What were the major obstacles in accomplishing
Well,
this thing?
I will not make a comment on the Walmart people who acquired the site. However, they did pick the worst site in this community for drainage and for
Yeah.
infrastructure improvements. So most of the discussions have been centered, and the time have been centered around two things. One is getting the permitting from the various agencies that are required to get that. Lahawton, the state of California, has two agencies that are involved. We have to get the engineering work done. So most of the time was spent in designing and engineering the infrastructure improvements for the site. Actually, not the building itself or the parking lot. Those were achieved pretty quickly. The problem was the infrastructure that took so long. We've got the amount of infrastructure going on this project is just amazing. The community will really be surprised when the project's done. Bowman Channel had to be fully improved from essentially behind the Walmart section, the existing Walmart store on Bowman, all the way up to Forest Knoll. It has to be widened. The channel is going to be like 40 feet wide, I believe, and 20 feet deep. It has to be fencing. And that required moving utilities, the main lines for many of the power systems. The power lines had to be redone. The gas lines had to be redone. The sewer lines have to be redone. All these infrastructure items.
Can I interject with a
Yeah.
question? Did it ever dawn on Walmart to leave that site and go to a different site?
Never a discussion.
Wow.
No, once they committed to buying the property, they were committed to doing that.
Okay.
And
Well, I know there was a couple of happy people about that.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
And so they purchased that site outright. They've owned it for over 10 years, the site itself. They've gone through 4 engineering firms during the process, where they had designs and redesigns and designs and redesigns, trying to save in cost-effective process. The cities, I have to tell you, we worked with them very intensely to try to get what we need, but make the cost more reasonable. The biggest, one of the biggest costs will be the Bowman and China Lake intersection, in which we're talking about culverts now. You know, what's there now is existing is some small pipes. I call them small, like, you know, they're yay big or whatever they are. But the culverts, they're going in there, you could drive a tractor through. There's 2 of them.
Okay.
And then there will be concrete on both sides of those culverts to feed the water in and feed the water out, that feeds out the channel. Then some riprap after that. So basically, it's a big intersection. It'll be a 4-way signal. There's going to be new right turn lanes.
No roundabout?
No roundabout. Another process that took a year or so was discussion roundabout.
I remember that.
And you will remember at one point we were looking at a Bowman Channel Park, if you remember that.
Yeah,
discussion.
we got to go to another break, our last break. So join us afterwards. We'll continue this discussion about Super Walmart.
Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk, the Thursday night edition. Again, I'm Al Huey, along with my partner, Robert Eierman, our special guest tonight, Mr. Gary Parsons, and we're talking economic development. And in particular, right now, in this last segment, we're talking about the Super Walmart that may or may not come.
I'm tired of hearing that, man. I tell you what, it's here. We're breaking ground, and the contractor's out there working even before we get the groundbreaking done.
I was going to ask you, short of a nuclear attack, is there any more gates that have to be gone through? Is there any reason that it could get stopped?
No, not
Okay.
not unless we find a archaeological site in the middle of the Walmart area.
There we go.
I thought about that. It might be something like that, but
Prehistoric.
yeah, or a gold mine might stop it.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think from a standpoint of the project, Walmart has approved the development and give the contract to the contractor who's working on it, and Walmart's giving me all the. Now it's coming back and saying, let's get this done, let's get this done, let's get this done. So I think it's, there's, you know, of course, I don't know, we might have a flood or something. I have no idea, but.
Yeah, with the El Nino coming.
That's
Yeah.
right, it's a possibility. Don't forget, it sits in the lowest part of town for the
Yeah.
drainage.
Right.
And then we were talking earlier, I was telling you about the intersection. It'll have a 4-way signal. It'll have a right turn lane onto China Lake. There'll be another signal that turns into the parking lot at the very end of the Walmart, in front of the store like they do now. And there will be another channel which will come down China Lake and will be connecting to Bowman to account for the flood water. The water comes off the mountains from the Bureau of Land Management onto the property.
Will people be able to access it right off of China Lake?
Yes, there'll be a right turn lane off of China Lake as well. There'll be
Onto Bowman or right into
onto the parking lot.
Into the parking lot of Walmart.
Isn't there a culvert there?
Yeah, there's going to be a huge culvert because that's where the water
Comes
whole,
from,
it's from the mountains I was just
yeah.
describing. Yes,
Yeah.
that's I was saying it's the culmination of 2 water channels,
Yeah.
major water channels,
Yeah.
is right at that corner. So the last time I heard the number, and I could be wrong on this because I'm not an engineer, but it was over 180,000 square yards of dirt that's got to get moved just to get the pad above flood channel.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's, of course, guess where it's coming from? It's coming from the channel. But
Yeah.
But so that allow us to. That was a cost saving.
Some questions, and you may or may not know the answers to them, but just about Walmart, Super Walmart in general. Are all the Super Walmarts the same size?
No, they are not.
Are we getting the
We're getting
smallest Super?
we're getting the biggest Super Walmart.
I love that answer.
Yeah, we are. We're actually getting a 235,000 square foot store. Their new Walmarts, Super Walmarts, they're building are 180. So we're actually bigger.
Terrific. Many times, people that have access to Super Walmarts in their area say that they're open 24/7. Do you know anything about that?
We've had discussions with Walmart about time they're open, and they are, last I talked to them, they are looking at fairly extended hours. Whether they go 24 hours a day, I don't know.
Okay.
At this point. But we did have that discussion concerning lighting in particular associated with the neighbors to their north.
Yes.
So we wanted to make sure that the lighting venue was such that it was directed down towards their parking lot and not out towards the neighborhoods. So
Okay.
that was we did have that discussion when we did the environmental review.
And their construction takes 10 to 12 months?
They're projecting, and they're really telling, and generally when Walmart projects, that means they're demanding their contractor do
Right.
this.
Yes.
But they're looking at being ready for opening what they call the fourth quarter of 16. I call it for Christmas of 16.
Okay.
I'm sure that's their target.
I'm sure also.
That's a fairly fast turnaround. That's about, 14 months or something like that, 12, 14 months. Considering it generally, a Walmart takes 2 months to stock.
Oh, wow, that's a good point. Another question. Do you know anything about the transition? In other words, is the current Walmart going to close and a week later the Super Walmart's going to open, or is it?
Simultaneously. One will close, one will open.
So
Not out of business one day.
they'll close on.
What they're actually doing is, I asked them about, I was kidding them, just to give you an example, I was kidding the Walmart guys about the fact that I wanted to get some pictures of them taking the grocery carts across the street. Because, they've got, I don't know how many, maybe
Right.
800, 900 grocery carts across China Lake. I was just looking for that picture. He says, oh, no, we buy all new. The whole store will be brand new. There will be nothing used out of the old store. It'll all be brand new, including the shopping carts. and
So no stock, no nothing, everything.
Not what they're telling me, no. They haul the stock away and I don't know how they do that. But
That makes the most sense to me. But
And concerning the old Walmart,
they don't want it closed one day.
right, that's nice to hear.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Concerning the old Walmart building, what's going on with it?
Well, under our development agreement with Walmart, the arrangement we have is that Walmart has an obligation to reuse and repurpose the building, have it reused or repurposed within 3 years of the closure of that building and the opening of the new Walmart. We did it on the opening of the new Walmart, assuming the other one would be closed. So it is a responsibility of Walmart's team to get that building repurposed. When we originally started the conversation, it's, well, if we can't get it done, we'll just tear it down. And my comment was, no, we won't. You will end up giving it to us for free. And they agreed to that. So basically, they have an obligation to repurpose or reuse the building within 3 years or give it to the city. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't want to get it given to the city. I want them to repurpose
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
you can imagine the amount of interest that will come from people who are not retailers for use of that building. So we would like to see it used for retail because that's where most of the sales tax will come
We're
from.
down to 1 minute.
Okay. We talked about this Super Walmart back in January.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a little wager with you.
Yes. So I get tacos now instead of steak.
And you won't be able to see it, but we're going to pause here for a second, and they're going to play that segment on the air for our viewers.
I really suspicion that we should have some pretty good news by spring of this year. I'll leave it that way. I'll leave it not a date, but
So you're not going to say that we're going to turn any dirt in 2015.
no, spring of this year.
So that's
We're in January, so spring
Right.
would be April, May, June, that kind of thing.
is when we might see
Mm-hmm.
some dirt turned over. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to get out with a
Steak-
shovel and start turning the dirt over.
No. I'm talking about official,
Oh, okay.
where they come out and
You got to
do the
watch
photo.
out when you make those.
Yeah, I know. So Robert and I talked. If what you're saying, we're going to have a groundbreaking sometime in the spring.
Mhm.
If that's true, we're going to buy you a steak dinner.
Okay, sounds
If
good.
it's not true,
Yes, I have to buy you a steak dinner. I guess.
no. You buy us hamburgers of our choice.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
not fair to make
Because you
buy-
got to do two, we're going to have to do
Okay,
one.
that's fine.
Is that a deal?
That's a deal.
All right.
All right, there you go.
You heard it right here.
See, I just got bribed, guys.
Okay, and we're back. You said that we would have
Groundbreaking.
groundbreaking in spring.
You don't know this is spring?
wrong with you guys?
Somewhere in the world is spring.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't narrow him down to that.
That's true. South of the equator, it's
No, not really,
getting up
but-
to spring.
But the bet was, if we turned dirt in the spring, we'd buy you a steak dinner. And if you didn't, you'd buy us hamburgers.
That's right. We're gonna have to, so,
And we have here hamburgers.
Not what we wanted,
No.
but that's all it could bring us.
Thank you,
thanks,
Jerry.
I appreciate it, thank you.
We'll have you back again.
All right, thanks. That's
Join
good.
us next week here on Ridgecrest Talk for more fun.